My name is Jenn Lynch, and I am the board chair and one of the founders of the Oregon Alliance for Gun Safety. We founded the Oregon Alliance for Gun Safety to tackle the challenge of gun violence prevention. It's never felt more urgent than it does today and at this moment. And if you want to remember anything from today's conversation, I hope it's this: that gun violence is preventable. We can take action that will dramatically reduce gun violence in our community. We know what to do, and we have the tool set, and we need to be more ambitious about what we can accomplish. We need to do that with a professionally staffed organization that can do this work and build the political power and will to get it done.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. Really quickly, this is an important effort because, we want to make sure that we have big goals, that we do a lot. We don't want to necessarily nibble around the edges. We want to do a lot. Jennifer, as you said, public health has got to be the model that guides us forward. And we need to do things that can work. So when people say, well, what are the things you can do? There's a million things you can do. Community violence intervention, and licensing especially is so important. There's a lot of things that are coming together. Daniel and I and others are working on some major projects to do some research that would really shed light on what licensing could do for Oregon. We want to do advocacy here and coalition building. And the reason we want to do that here is because a couple of things. You've got a legislature that is open to action. You've got a ballot, measure possibilities that are much better than other states. And you've got a great team that we've all worked together before leading this effort. And so when I think how do I start a trend? How do I get real life-saving opportunities in states? It starts right here, right now. The time is now. We've got a great team working with Daniel and his team. We collaborate a lot. It's just such an exciting possibility. We've done it with extremist protection laws. Now is the time to do it. Ratchet it up with some really, really big solutions that will lead to success.
It's really great to be with you. Just want to share Josh's excitement about the opportunity to engage with you on this. And I think there are some great opportunities to have a huge impact on gun violence in Oregon. All right, first, I just want to clarify an important distinction. So Oregon has comprehensive background checks. That's really important to extend that requirement to private transfers. An important thing to acknowledge is that the way this works is through a transaction at a licensed gun shop. That's where the whole process begins. There's no direct contact with law enforcement or a fingerprinting process to verify identity of the purchaser. Under licensing systems, you have to engage directly with law enforcement. Typically, that involves a fingerprinting process because it's a much more accurate way to connect people to their any criminal records. And often you have safety training. It's important, and Josh, I think, noted this, which is this is an upstream policy. The idea is you're trying to prevent guns from getting to people who we've determined, the law has determined, are too dangerous to have them. I'm going to switch now to models for community violence intervention, which I've studied. Josh referred to something called the cure violence approach. Basically, it is hiring individuals with credibility with the highest risk individuals in some of the most risky neighborhoods in our cities to engage with those individuals, build trust, promote nonviolent ways to respond to conflicts and provocations, mediate disputes themselves, and also just gain momentum for a change in social norms around violence. These kind of changes and investments can save a number of lives, and think that can happen in Oregon.
As Jenn said, in Washington, we have had real success at the ballot and in the legislature. And the success in the legislature has really been growing in the past number of years. While we've had a lot of success, it was not always the case. The Washington Alliance was born, as Jenn said, about a decade ago by a group of donors who, after the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary, decided that something really needed to change. The gun lobby in Washington state at that time was extremely powerful, giving more money to candidates, both Democrats and Republicans, than they did in any other state. When we approached the legislature, which was controlled by Democrats at the time, to take action, they said simply, no, it's never going to happen. So we took the fight out of the halls of the legislature to where the gun lobby is the weakest, and that is the court of public opinion. And we ran an initiative. I mentioned that universal background checks were foundational from a policy perspective, but this fight was also foundational in another really important way. It altered what activists, donors, lawmakers, and honestly the country thought was possible. We not only beat the gun lobby, in the coming years, we really trounced them. And we did this by transforming the landscape. Political opinion and public opinion was with us. We knew that these laws would save lives, and that was it.
And so as you've heard, we want to follow a public health model that has been successful in other spaces. We look at car accidents and we look at motor vehicle safety as our model. We didn't ban cars. We didn't ban driving. That isn't realistic. We got together as communities of moms, of parents, of public health professionals. We made safer cars, we made safer roads, and we made safer drivers. And those were all deliberate choices, and motor vehicle deaths have dropped dramatically. We believe the next foundational policy is a universal licensing system for the state of Oregon. Public opinion research tells us that we can get there. And as Josh said, the politics are there. Daniel let us know that the data is there to back us up. We believe that these leaders and their teams can provide us with the data, the national data that can back up a campaign here on the ground in Oregon. And so what we need is the support in state here in Oregon from folks like you and your networks to build the professional capacity to grow this movement and our power here in Oregon.